In addition to your modeling career,
Science, but microbiology or biochemistry, which I really like. And then my dad said you should have a profession at the end of your degree. And the only thing I could think of was dietetics. And I thought, oh, then I can lose 10 pounds. I needed to lose 10 pounds. And because, you know, once you study it, you should be able to do it. And I found out no matter how hard you study, you actually have to change your eating habits as well. It wasn't easy. And so then I graduated at 21 as a dietitian. And then, then I got divorced at 31, and then I had a fiance, and then he got another girl pregnant and moved in next door to me, and I was sad. Sad. But, you know, I must thank her, because then I had to think, what should I do? And as a dietitian, I was only seeing obese patients. I didn't want to see diabetics or heart disease or cancer, because I didn't think I had the experience. So then I went to Bloemfontein, a university town. Again, I had to study everything in Afrikaans, and lived in a one-bedroom apartment. They gave me a one-bedroom apartment in the doctor's quarters, and the kids slept in the bedroom. I slept in the living room kitchen. But we could just walk I could just walk to the hospital, and the kids could walk to school. So it really ended up being the best thing ever, because then I went on to do my first Master of Science degree after somebody saw me in a modeling show for the Cancer Society. So it was basically working with cancer patients.
so in the book, A Woman Makes a Plan, which is a fabulous book, you emphasize resilience and determination. You just shared a lot about some of your struggles and some of the stuff that you've been through. Can you share some key moments or challenges from your life where you had to demonstrate these qualities and how you overcame them?
I would say I demonstrate them continuously. I mean, first of all, when you have 3 kids to feed, you work really hard, and the children have to behave. And so I would have a bedroom in my home that I would convert into an office, so that I could always get the kids to school, and then I could be working all the time, and then they behave because they had to, because they had to be quiet. They had to do their own homework, they had to get themselves to school, and fortunately, good kids. I have to add, they said they did get up to mischief, but I didn't notice.
In your book, what key messages you want your readers to walk away with?
I just want people to be happier. If you're in an unhappy situation, personally or in business, you have to move on. And it's scary to move on. You have no confidence, it's been knocked out of you, and you have to move on to see if you can have a better life. And in the beginning, it's a big struggle, but it's better to overcome that. But if you really can't, then you can go back to your miserable life. You have a choice.
So Maye, I feel like we don't have to go over your children's successes, but what would you say are obviously very, very accomplished, and how do you explain your children's success?
They just had it in them, you know. Well, they hardly saw me because I was working all the time, but at home at least. And they all had their own ideas, and of course, when I was actually doing my second Master of Science degree at the University of Toronto, I wanted them all to come and study in the medical faculty, and then it's for free. But they wanted to go their own way, so I said, then you're on your own. And they had to fill out all the forms themselves. I never even look at them. I think they faked my signature. I have no idea. Because I didn't have time to read it, and they got loans, and they got scholarships, and they had to support themselves because they weren't willing to study a medical subject. Yeah.
Maye, can you share any shared values or lessons you might have instilled in your children?
Well, I mean, I think they saw me looking after patients, and the patients would become happier. And, and I was loving my work. And they all chosen jobs that, or careers that make people happier, and they love what they do.
So talk about your parenting skills. What role did you play as a mother in supporting specifically Tosca and Kimball's success?
Well, whatever they decide to do, I will support them if it makes them happier. So Kimball got a Bachelor of Science degree in business, but he always cooked for us because I'm a bad cook. You can't be good at everything. So then he always loved that. So when they sold their first company, he went to the French Culinary Institute and worked right till 11 o'clock at night, being shouted at by the chef because he was learning knife skills and all that. And at 11 at night, I would join him because then the students had leftovers. So I mean, then you support him because it makes him happy. And then Tosca. And we would rent movies. Don't try and, soft talker. She can see right through you. So we wanted her to be a lawyer because we needed a lawyer in the family. She went and studied film, and now at long last she's doing what she really loves to do.
Obviously, he started at a young age in terms of cooking, but he's now into sustainable foods and agriculture and farming, and farm-to-table dining. So where did that come from?
Well, no matter how poor I was, I would always buy fruit and vegetables in season, and not organic. We couldn't afford that. And anyway, organic wasn't a term when I was, 40 years ago. So you just buy what you can afford. And so then he found out that children don't always have access to fruits and vegetables. And so that's why he started the Big Green, where children can grow their own fruits and vegetables. And now they're even doing that in hospitals and in institutions and prisons. They're actually going to be doing fruit and vegetable gardens. He was annoying for him. But I would tell people I had this genius son, but he was quiet, so people would roll their eyes. And he could have been a genius boy sitting in the basement, if I had a basement. But instead he came with good ideas, and can you imagine when he said he's going to do door-to-door directions on the internet? And I said, that's a brilliant idea, but I mean, how are you going to do it? And then he said too. And then he said, the next thing was, I want to have money exchanged through emails. And I said, that is ridiculous, but it's great. And that was X.com and PayPal. And then after PayPal, he really had worked very hard. He said to me, what should I do? Rockets or electric cars or battery storage or solar energy? And I said, you've worked so hard. Just do one. He didn't take any of my advice.
Which the influencer group, Aaron is over there. I got a text message about that.
I think that's the one thing we know about Elon. It definitely never takes the simple road. But from a young age, what did you know about him that was just different? Because there was anything that stood out to you? Obviously, the kid is Elon was reading encyclopedias and everything else. Like, what was different? What stood out to you? Was there any early indicators that he was going to be what he is today?
Well, you know, now we have Wikipedia, but in those days there was encyclopedias. So he would read an encyclopedia, and I mean, who reads an encyclopedia? But anyway, but he remembered everything. So any question I could ask about anything, and you know, that didn't even relate to anything, he could answer. So he was my encyclopedia. And so I knew all this, but again, he was shy and he didn't say much. So funny enough, when Zip 2 was going on, then Kimball was doing the interviews, because Kimball's outgoing. And then with PayPal again, Elon didn't do interviews, but then, because he was shy. And so then after that, after PayPal was sold, I saw a write-up in the newspaper. And I called Elon and I said, "Are you doing interviews?" He said, "No one will sell me rocket parts." I'm not in any news outlet anywhere, nobody can find me. So he has to do interviews, and he's overcome his shyness somewhat.
So at what point through his life was it a certain age that you noticed that he's just going to make a huge impact? Was there a certain, or was it after PayPal, or even earlier than that? Was there a certain time or age that just you knew that he's just going to make a huge impact?
You know, with each stage, each project he took on, it was always a good project, but he could see ahead of the time. When you said electric cars, and I said, wow, why would that be, why would we want to do that? And he said, yes, there's climate change and we need to use batteries and all that. And it made sense, but it still didn't make enough sense to actually build them. And he goes ahead of the time. And then, of course, rockets. Now he launches more rockets than anyone in the world, all the countries combined. To me, each rocket launch is a miracle.
Yes.
It's slow. Yeah. So, and it looks like his ideas and his ideas are always for the future, so people don't always understand it. And he just sees what's going to happen. Yeah.
You talked about his vision and his different ideas from Tesla to SpaceX to Neuralink. How would you describe his work ethic and motivation? Where does that come from?
He's just determined to make a better world. That's what I see, because fortunately, and you're all going to be jealous, that I often sit in on meetings. I was sitting on Tesla meetings, SpaceX meetings, boring tunnel meetings, and I just sit there quietly, and he just, each one comes with a section of work they're working on, and his whole concentration goes on that. And then the next people come with another part of the rocket or the car or the tunnel, and he focuses on that. And he can just his brain is in compartments where he can focus on certain changes, and then he will give suggestions, and then they would love it, because these are all engineers that really want to move ahead. Or no, they're not all engineers, but they're all people. All those people that work for him, they have exciting ideas, and he will listen to them, and then he will say, this should go in this direction, and I can just see them, they are beaming, because I don't think other CEOs can listen to engineers and understand them. And so that could be the downfall of many companies with, I know, I won't name the company, but there was a beautiful car, and I said, yeah, but it's not electric. They said, our engineers are trying to tell our CEO about electric cars, but they don't understand it. So they're very frustrated. So I can see, so that's where Elon is ahead of the game. Yeah.
So Maye, Elon obviously is known for solving big problems, hard problems. Can you share any anecdotes or stories highlighting any of his problem-solving approaches? Maybe something from childhood, how he figures out a problem and then tackles that problem.
Well, he wasn't that popular as a child because when his brothers and sister and cousins were all playing together and they would look at the moon and they'd say, oh, that's 1,000,000 miles away. And then he would say, well, it's actually 240. And I'm making this up because I don't know how many miles away. 240,375 miles away, depending on the orbit. And then they would say, we don't want to play with you.
How did he know?
Many people consider Elon a visionary. What do you think sets him apart from others? His vision, the future, and then not only that, but execute that groundbreaking vision.
Yeah, he had ideas and then he would just work on it and move ahead. And I mean, the success has been incredible. And because he just knew what was needed ahead of the time. Yeah. I just want to say, I just know that when I work with patients, I can reduce their risk for chronic diseases and lower their blood cholesterol and improve their blood glucose levels. That's how much I have. And that follows science. So, as I say, he's kind of, in another sphere.
And I guess a little bit along with just being in another sphere, we all know how relentless his work ethic is. I don't personally know I've ever witnessed someone working harder, being able to compartmentalize the problems. How would you say that he was able to develop such a strong work ethic? And how is it that strong work ethic obviously impacted his accomplishments?
I think he focuses on an idea, and then he has to make it happen, and then he has to figure out how to make it happen, and then it does. He just does it. And I mean, it really didn't encourage him to do all that he does, but he does. And we are all happy for that.
Yeah.
Maye, can you share any lessons or stories you believe might have contributed to Elon's success, and how these stories or benefits that instilled him in his upbringing that made him who he is today?
Well, luckily he got my brains. I did see one research paper that says that mothers give the brains. And he has a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
So, he's just this little genius. Yeah.
And he got boyish good looks from you as well, right?
So obviously Elon has accomplished a lot of things, and also too, even some of those things are just getting started. What would you say, even up to this point, or maybe even future, like what are some of the things that you're most proud of? And is there anything specifically that sticks out to you, even up to this point?
Well, I'm now very excited about X, because this is going to, he wants to do really everything with X. And it's hard to say that because we still want to say Twitter, X Twitter. And I'm looking forward to all the ideas that he has for that. So we'll go along for the ride.
So Maye, I'm sure everyone wants to know, how often do you actually talk to him or see him?
Well, I'm traveling a lot. As you heard, I'm 4 days a month at home. And that's New York. So then, fortunately, I could see him in Paris. And then I saw Kimball and Tosca last night at Kimball's event. And then I saw Tosca in London for her Passion Flesh premiere. So I try to let them know where I am. But I don't always. So sometimes I remember landing Paris and Tosca was leaving. And he said, "What? We could have actually had a day together," but I didn't know she was Indian when I was there. So I'll try to be better with that so I can see my kids more often. Yeah.
So obviously this is the Tesla takeover. So of course we're gonna have to talk about Tesla at some point. Maybe just a little bit. Can you share your first impressions of Tesla and when you first learned about the company and its vision for electric cars?
Well, yeah. First of all, that roadster was quite cute, but of course it didn't work in the beginning. And then when it was working, it was quite incredible because I remember I was driving Kimball's car to pick up Tosca's dog, and the dog walker says, "Are you going to switch on your car?" I said, "Yeah, it's on." Nobody knew. And then when you would go to park anywhere, you'd say, in the very beginning, you would have to see if they have an outlet so you can connect to charge your car overnight if you're staying the night. So those were hard times because you had to park the car yourself because nobody knew how to do it. But then gradually you would see that they're parking the Teslas in the front of the hotel, in front of the restaurant, because it was so special. So then as people got Teslas, we would do the Tesla nod. You would see it was such a rare thing. No, I got it back.
There's flies around here.
Yeah. But then, of course, if we had to nod nowadays, we'd be doing this. It just kept going and improving. It was just great.
What do you try? I wonder what.
So because I live in New York, then Tosca had twins and she needed me to help her, and I ended up being there for 8 years because she needed help. When she did movies overnight, I would have to look after the kids, and then Elon's kids were there, so I taught public health at their school. And so it was nice to be around the kids and the grandkids, but of course, then I became a supermodel. But besides that, they moved, one to Texas, one to Atlanta. But when Tosca said to Elon, "Mom's moving to LA," he says, "You get a Tesla." And so he got me a Tesla S, and it was the green one. It was still, I had a choice. I could wait for a different color, or I could get the green one right away because it was in the showroom. But it wasn't one that they continued. They didn't continue that color. So I had this British Racing green. I don't know if you call it that, but it was that type of green. And then it was parked in front of everything because nobody had seen that color. And then when the 3 came out, I said to Elon, Elon pays full price because I get the invoice. He pays full price.
No discounts.
Yeah. He pays full price. And my nephew said to Elon, "Well, don't you have a family discount?" He says, "Everybody's family." So when the 3 came out, I said, "Oh, it's so adorable, I want the 3. And he says, "No, you will get the new S." And then I got a beautiful blue S, and again, full price. And then I moved to New York, and as I say, I'm there for 4 days a month, and then I'm always going to the airport. So I didn't need the car, and Tosca has the X as well as, so I gave her my S. And actually gifting somebody is a whole tax issue. How could you? It's a lot of paperwork and tax. And I thought, well, this isn't worth it, but anyway. But she needed two Teslas in Atlanta because for the kids, the nanny to take the kids places and also for herself. So now she has the X and the S.
So obviously Elon told you, "Hey, I want to do rockets, I want to do electric vehicles." What were your initial thoughts and concerns when you realized he was going to do both?
Yeah, it was gradual and it made sense. And he really thought he could be, because the space program had ended in America, he really thought he could launch rockets. I mean, from the very beginning, I would go to his first rocket center where everybody was so enthusiastic about building rockets, and you know, you gradually see how it grows and how it expands and changes offices, and it just was amazing when the first rocket actually took off, because the other three, you know, you just want to curl up and cry in the corner. But then when the fourth one went up, oh, it was just incredible. Meanwhile, never cried about it. He would come out and say, and the next one will be better, we'll make it better. And I'll say, what? We were depressed. But no, he was just saying, oh, we'll learn from that one. And that's how you learn how to make rockets.
Are there any ideas that he's told you about that you thought was just completely nuts?
Every idea. Yet we're all here.
Did you really think that SpaceX would become a reality when you thought that, when he told you that he wants to send people to Mars?
Yeah, I'm sure he will continue until he does. Yeah. So at my 75th birthday party on April the 19th, I was there for 2 hours with Kimball and Tosca and my friends, and then we had to fly to Starbase because the next morning was the launch of the huge Starship. And then we celebrated that night. Everyone was celebrating because it had actually lifted this 40-story building up in the air for 4 minutes. So to them it was huge progress. And of course the media just kept saying Starship blew up. Everyone, and meanwhile the engineers were absolutely thrilled. So, you know, that's the media.
So you are an accomplished, on so many levels, a doctor of dietetics, a model, best-selling author. And what would you say to other people to help them build their careers, build their brand, and even build their success?
Well, you have to do something you love. So I love being a dietitian. Modeling is really fun. And don't wait until you're 75 to do it. But try to get into, if once you love a subject or a career, you work towards it, and then it doesn't feel like work, and it's just fun. And I have to say, women have to work harder than men. And I always say, because I do a lot of talks forward with a lot of women, and a woman makes a man. And so then, if you're working with men and they don't respect you, and you can't, and you're better qualified, and they're not pushing you ahead, you've got to move on. And you've got to look for people that support you. And look at these men. They're all supporting women. These men are all supporting women, and they will move on.
Your book was also some recurring themes in your book, which is like starting over. You talk about that a lot. Because you have to move and start all over again, and you talk about poverty and dealing with that, and challenges of finding a warm code for you and your children. So can you speak to the challenges of starting over and how we all can learn from what you've had to overcome?
Well, I didn't want to talk about my challenges or any struggles, but Kimball and Tosca separately said, be sure you talk about your struggles because we lived through it. But again, when you've slept on the ground in the Kalahari Desert, then when you can just afford to put a roof over your head, if it's rent control, and if it's, you don't have to go to the movies, you don't have to go out for dinner, you can eat very economically and healthily, and you don't have to go to a gym because you can't afford it, so you can just walk around or run around, and so you can do without your privileges, and but you're moving ahead. In other words, you're leaving a bad situation. I don't move because, moving's fun. Moving is hell. Every section of it goes wrong. Even if you move next door, it goes wrong. So I move cities and countries, and I don't recommend it, but for each time it was either to improve my life or to get away from a bad situation. And then that's my purpose.
So before this, you were able to meet my family, and my wife's family, specifically my mom. I call her my mom. She's family. She was one of 8 kids. She was raising 8 kids and adopted my wife and her 4 brothers. And you talked a lot about your struggles, and your all 3 of your kids saw what you went through. You were barely home. What gave you that strength, that courage to just continue to push through? Because I think there's so many other people that may have similar struggles. Again, a lot of similarities that I've seen between my mom and yourself. But just, what gave you that strength and that courage?
Well, I only had 3 kids, so I really didn't. It wasn't as hard as your mom. She went through a really hard time. The thing is, you want to survive. You just have to survive, and then eventually you thrive. So now I'm thriving.
Are you able to share any upcoming projects or goals you have in the pipeline that you're particularly excited about?
I'm excited about going to Italy to speak at a university there, and I'm trying to learn Italian, but so far I can speak Afrikaans fluently, Dutch somewhat, German and French, but now I'm trying to study Italian. It's really hard, and I think I'm a little lazier on that, just because I'm so used to the other languages. So I'm going to learn some Italian before I go and give a talk there. I'm going back to China to sign a contract with a big speaking engagement there in Shanghai. And I have a lot of great jobs ahead of me, and they want me back in Greece and again in Korea. So it's and then today Austria.
She's speaking German with that. It's pretty.
Ja, ich kann Deutsch sprechen, aber nicht.
Maye, you've obviously traveled the world as part of your modeling career as a renowned dietitian, but you've also had the privilege of seeing all the different gigafactories and the different Tesla locations and offices and seeing other Tesla employees. What is your reaction or impression as you get to see Tesla grow globally?
I'm blown away when I go to the factories. I'm blown away how beautiful the factories are. I mean, why would a car factory be beautiful? It's beautiful. The people are enthusiastic. They work hard. For each one, every time I'm going to a city that has a factory, then I just text, hey, can you give me a kit? Can I have a tour? and then I'm set up and looked after nicely and given a lovely tour. And I just love the enthusiasm at every gig factory.
So you told us you're literally only home 4 days a month. You're doing so much, you're all over the place. I think you're saying you're going to Italy, China at some point, some other universities. Is there a point in time where you're like, you've met with so many people, had so many talks where you're like, hey, I want to slow down a little bit, or is there any plans to slow down?
Yeah, my mom slowed down at 96.
Tosca's into movies and you participated in her red carpets and her premieres. Have you ever thought about who plays you in your movie?
You know, I've had that question before, and the only person who could do my accent would be Charlize Theron.
Good choice, good choice. Have you ever met Charlize?
I've seen her at events, you know, but I don't run up and meet her because I wasn't then a supermodel. Now I could. But I've just seen her at events and I thought, oh, she's cool.
Do you ever get starstruck since you get to go to movie premieres and Sports Illustrated shoots? Do you ever get starstruck? Or
Well, I admire men and women who are successful and hardworking and are really kind and nice, and so I'm not so much starstruck. I'm just impressed, and I think, well done. I'm glad I don't want to be an actress. That would have been sad. I'm not good at that. That's why Tosca, sometimes has me give one line in her movie because I want to be just in her movie. But I get a lot of scripts because I look like every actress's mother. But I'm not interested in acting, and I think that's a big advantage.
So, as you stepped in, you are a doctor of dietetics. What is the biggest encouragement that you give to people? What are the regular asked questions that you typically get? And what is the biggest advice that you typically give to people?
As a dietitian, you have to follow science and common sense. Don't go with all this garbage that's out there. There's no special way. I have to be careful with everything I eat and not finish the plate and then not have sweet foods in my home. Because then I can finish it off. And that doesn't change. So, but for other people, some of my patients, they had a salty tooth, so they would say, I finished a packet of chips and I didn't realize it. Okay, so some people have a salty preference and I have a sweet preference, and you just have to keep the high calorie, low nutrient foods out of your sight or away from you, and then choose healthy food. And when the patients would come to me and I'd tell them how many fruits and vegetables they have to eat and whole grains and all that, they would say, this is way too much food, I can't eat so much. Then they come back and they've lost 5 pounds after a week, and they say, I have so much energy and I feel great. And so it just shows they weren't realizing what they were eating. So I loved my work when I had a practice, but then I had to stop because they would bring my covers in for me to sign, and I'm saying, no, the doctor sent you for nutrition advice. No, just sign the book and tell me all about what you do. No, that's not what I do. So I had to stop the practice.
Maye, you obviously have a lot of fans here in the audience. What would you tell them about Tesla and the future of Tesla, based on what you know and obviously your relationship with Elon? What can you tell them that what to expect in the next few years?
Well, first of all, thank you everyone for coming here, being so enthusiastic, and for driving Teslas. And who knows what the future is coming in a Tesla range. I don't know, seriously. On X, remember? I don't know if he's posted something on X recently about something new in Tesla. The roast is coming, the Cybertruck.
I think the Cybertruck?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I really think the Cybertruck is in my past because I've seen it so much. Okay, but it's still coming out. But that is, I just think it's the most beautiful car. Really do.
I do understand it's perfectly visible, especially with the camera out on it. So as you said, you're a very accomplished woman. You were a single mother, raising 3 kids. To other women out there, what would you tell them? What encouragement would you give them? I know you talked a little bit about, a lot of the stuff that you've overcome, but what are some words of wisdom that you give them?
Well, I always say let the children help you in the home, because they had to help me. Tosca would take the messages for the patients, and Kimber would cook, and Elon would do any kind of, kept me on the cutting edges. As any technology advanced, he would set me up. So that was great. I was the first model 5 years ago who would go on set, and I would have my little mini laptop. That was the first one that came out. It was Sony, 25 years ago. Yeah. So they do what they help you, and also I let them choose what they wanted to do. Yeah.
So first off, on behalf of Tesla owners of Silicon Valley and our club, really all of these Tesla owners, we want to thank you so much for being with us here today.
Okay, I have one final question for you, actually, in light of that. So we've obviously been working with you and your team in preparation for this event. And when we reached out to your team, can you share with us, or the audience here, what you told us at that stage when we first approached you? You actually had to ask Elon if it was okay to come and speak at this event, right? Can you just share with the audience what you said?
Well, I said to you, I always, if there's certain countries that I'm not quite sure if he's happy about that country, then I will let him know. But usually everything's fine. But when I told him that I was asked to speak here, and he said, yeah, of course. So that's, yeah, because I don't want to talk about him, because that's, it's meant to be about me.
I got my first Model 3 back in 2018, so I'm not even one of the first pioneers, but I do a long commute, and it really just changed the way I did life, because I'm a father of 4, and to get home not after sitting 2 hours in traffic, 2.5 hours in traffic, to be able to get home and actually decompress on my way home. And so I was just hooked. And that's ultimately what led to start the club. But really it's, the news, especially during 2018, 2019, during the bankruptcy days, there's so much fake news, and we talked a little bit about this backstage, and it was just one of those things where, as I was driving the car myself, I just knew that so much of that was false news. And so for me, it just became one of those things where someone's telling a lie about a person, about a company. It was easy to just jump in and really just fight all the fake news all over the years. So we've been huge supporters. I think we sold over 1,700 adult tickets this year, and so this is our 3rd year. And so we just want to thank you for all you've done to obviously raise Elon, Tosca, and Kimball, and just for coming here and spending your afternoon with us. Every year, I would love to just grab a video, since everyone's here. I would love, Maye, if you would come step over here, and I would love to just say, hey, this is the Tesla takeover, and for everyone to cheer. Would you be cool?
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
It's just gonna be a selfie, pretty much.